Is this the camera I'm looking at? We've been rolling?
We're rolling, we're rocking.
Okay. Hi, my name's Liz and welcome to my YouTube. You might know me from Instagram. That's where I got started last summer. So I grew up in a small town in Illinois. It's called Freeburg, Illinois. 4,000 people, 2 stoplights, 1 diner, a grocery store. So basically I just grew up in a cornfield and I knew the same people until I was 18. Then when I was 18, I went to school. I studied finance and entrepreneurship. I was always a very driven person. I grew up in a family business, a business that's been operating for over 100 years. I idolized really the men in my family, really successful businessmen, all entrepreneurs, and that's really what I wanted to be like. So when I went to school, even as my girly self, I was dead set that I was going to grow up and I was going to be the first female entrepreneur in our family. Within a month's time, I decided I was gonna put my house on the market and I was gonna move to Austin, Texas. So that's exactly what I did. I moved with no plan, 25. I am just gonna go to the big city and I am going to figure it out. So I moved to Austin. I had my little nest egg from selling my house and I moved downtown. I just flew down one weekend. Whatever apartment complex would let me tour during COVID, it was one. So I got one. I got an apartment downtown, no plan. I eventually ended up getting a job as a financial analyst. And at the same time, I was dating my son's father. We were off and on for about a year when I had an unplanned pregnancy. And since I grew up Catholic, conservative, to me, I mean, it was the best news ever, you know? So, but it was a very unique situation because about halfway through the pregnancy, I found out that there was another woman. So he and my son's father let me know that he wasn't ready to be a dad. So I just leaned into my faith at the time. It was the most shocking experience of my life, but it was also the most beautiful experience. So I bought the house that we're living in currently. I remodeled the whole thing from top to bottom. And I decided to take some time off work and focus on my son. So it was last summer, so I would say my son was about a year and a half that I started getting my colors back, as they say, after you have a baby. And I was starting to think about my old dreams, the things that I wanted since I was a little girl. And I started thinking, how can I do that while still staying home with him until he goes to school? So I started my social media last summer, and there was kind of a little cringe period where I had done my research. I knew there was going to be a cringe period where you post, and you don't get like a lot of traction. But then last summer, it really took off. I think I went from like 1,000 followers to now we're at 14,000, and it hasn't even been a year. So things are going pretty well. And I think I have a year to figure out what will be the next move that I make. But for now, I have been creating content with Texas Mom Talk. We have been approached by a few casting directors, so we're interviewing for a show. And I'm just gonna see where life takes me. The weirdest fact about my childhood that nobody ever believes unless I show them my t-shirt blanket was that my high school mascot was literally a midget. The story, and it still is a midget. In my 4,000 person small town in Illinois, the mascot is still a midget. And the story behind that is that the first basketball team apparently was really short, and so they were jokingly, this was back in the day, like before I was born, they were calling them midgets, and the town has just never let it go. So when I moved to the big city, at 18, I realized like this was not cool. I'm not a big TV person. I mainly watch like TikTok, Instagram, basically anything that's a brain rot. Like, no TV really. And since my account took off, I have had a few people with the blue check marks. Like I had a country singer. I know there's been a couple sports people, but I don't know. It's just fascinating to have interest from people when I'm literally the same person. I don't go on dates with anyone like that, though. I always say no because it's not my type. I don't know if she's considered a celebrity, but she's definitely a YouTuber. So back when I was in school and I was looking for women to look up to, mine was Heidi Summers. She was a YouTuber that started her business out of her tiny apartment, and then like now she has this massive clothing company, and it all came from just It was just amazing to watch her go from her tiny apartment to what she has now is like an empire, and it was all her. I would say I'm a night owl. Me and my son still co-sleep, so once he falls asleep and he's just cuddling next to me, that's kind of my me time. I would say pizza or anything fast food, so Domino's, Wendy's. We're big on Chick-fil-A lately, trying to be healthier. I would say any worship music like usually puts me in a good mood. The best advice I've ever received has been during some of the hardest times of my life, to just let go and give it to God. I think especially the most recent obviously would be during my pregnancy, and when I tell the story, it sounds like it's the hardest thing a woman could probably go through. But to me, when I remember the story, it was nothing like that. It was, obviously it was hard news to hear, but it was the most beautiful time of my life. Like having my son, that was the best day of my life. And he's still... I would say my favorite store is Revolve. So if someday I get to work with Revolve, that'll be the best day of my life. But I have a whole list of collabs I've been wanting to do, and I'm just waiting until I grow large enough. I mean, I'm already reaching out for sure, but waiting until I reach that milestone and they'll be willing to work with me. I have a couple different ideas of what that could be. So if I meet my special someone, I would have as many babies as that person would want. I love, love, love being a mom. If not, I'm good with it just being me and Remy and potentially starting some sort of business, chasing the dreams that I talked about having since I was a little girl. Or the third option would be to do both. So we'll see where life takes me. Apple, huh? Okay. Okay. Apple. Apple. Yay. Okay.